Welcome to another Whip It Up Wednesday Crockpot meal. Today I'm going to be making drunken roast chicken. Now this recipe is from the Canada's Best Slow Cooker Recipes by Donna-Marie Pye. You're going to need a dry white wine instead of a sweet wine. Okay, so let's go through the rest of the ingredients. Clearly, you're going to need a chicken. You're also going to need some garlic. Now, there are 4 to 6 cloves in that dish, and an onion, some celery. You're going to chop that into 3 pieces. The celery, the garlic, and the onion are going to be placed into the cavity of the chicken. You're also going to need some thyme and paprika, but this is actually seasoning salt. I'm using seasoning salt instead of paprika. Chicken broth, a half a cup. Dry white wine, a half a cup. Some Worcestershire sauce. There are some gravy ingredients that are not on camera. Now clearly what we have here on the counter is going to contribute to the gravy. However, you're going to need 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour, as well as some salt and pepper to taste. So on the cutting board, I also have potatoes and a carrot. These are not a part of the recipe, but I'm using them anyway. That's an heirloom yellow carrot, and I have different colored potatoes. I've washed the vegetables, and I haven't peeled the carrot. I'm just going to chop it up into large, rustic pieces comparable to the size of the potatoes. I'm cutting the celery into 3 pieces as per the recipe's instructions. And I'm quartering the onion as per the recipe's instructions. I'm now going to place the carrots and the potatoes into the crock pot. Now placing the celery and the onion into the cavity of the chicken. Anything that doesn't fit, like this piece of celery, is just going to be placed into the crock pot with the vegetables. I'm trying to stuff everything in. There. It all fits. You just have to really shove it in as hard as you can. Now I can't fit the garlic under the skin, so I'm just going to shove it into the cavity as well. And I'll throw the rest of the garlic into the crock pot. It's now time to place the chicken into the crock pot on top of the waiting vegetables. The recipe called for paprika, but I'm using seasoning salt instead. One teaspoon of thyme. The celery that didn't fit in the cavity. Now let's measure our white wine to the amount of 1/2 a cup. I'm going to pour in the 1/2 cup of wine. Let's measure up the chicken broth. This is homemade chicken broth, and you can use store-bought. It's a 1/2 cup, and let's pour it in now. 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And now for some pepper to taste. We'll place the lid on, turn it to low, and I'll bring you back in 8 to 10 hours when it's finished cooking. We're just about at the 7-hour mark, but the food preparer in me somehow thinks this is ready, so I'm going to take the temperature. It smells absolutely delicious. Yes, it has reached temperature. It's now at 166 Fahrenheit. You know, it is pretty brown. I guess that's due to the seasoning salt, but let's get it into the oven and broil it for 5 to 7 minutes. The chicken is browned sufficiently, so let's take it out of the oven. That looks perfect. I'm going to cover it and let it rest while I make the gravy. I have ready here what I'm going to need to make the gravy. Now, this is the dripping and the stock and the wine from the crock pot. I have approximately a tablespoon of butter. It might be more, it might be less. Approximately a tablespoon of flour, salt, and pepper. So let's get started making the gravy. Sorry, I don't have an overhead camera. This'll have to do. There. Just gonna let that melt. I'm gonna turn it down a bit. It's a little too high. It's important to have the dripping from the chicken ready, because when this mixture is ready, you really need to pour that dripping in instead of worrying about trying to get it out of the crock pot. Okay, so this is almost melted. Okay. Get more flour. And that is thickening up nicely. Let's carve some of this chicken. This drunken roast crock-pot chicken. As you see, the gravy is thickened nicely. I'm going to taste it to see if it needs any salt and pepper. Oh, that is delicious. Oh, so delicious. I don't think it needs any salt. For some people, they may need more salt, but I am just fine. I'm going to add pepper though. Great, let's put some gravy on that chicken. Maybe a bit everywhere. I'm now going to give this a taste. Let's start with the drunken chicken. Well, it's breaking apart really nicely. That is really delicious. Try the heirloom carrot. Very, very nice. Now for a potato. Perfect. I'm going to enjoy this, and I hope you give this recipe a try. Drunken roasted chicken. Delicious.